Good afternoon, everyone. This is meteorologist Ben Price with the National Weather Service in Springfield, bringing you a briefing on the major to potentially historic storm system that's moving through tomorrow, which is Friday, March 14th, 2025. Some of the key messages we're seeing is mainly for very strong non-thunderstorm winds, and then the potential for a severe thunderstorm, which could increase our wind gusts even more within those storms, and then significant to critically extreme fire danger potential also on Friday. So all three of these hazards are going to be potentially significant tomorrow, and we'll look at the timing of those hazards and kind of give some extra context and uncertainties that we have for this event. So moving forward, we'll just start with a brief timeline of the hazards that we're expecting. Pretty widespread throughout the whole day, Friday and into Friday night, is mainly the wind gusts. We'll start seeing gusts picking up from the south to 25 to 45 miles per hour during Friday morning. But certainly the period that we are looking at with the greatest wind gusts is between 1 and 7 p.m., where we could see south to southwesterly winds gusting up to 40 to 60 miles per hour, and with infrequent gusts even greater than 60 miles per hour. Those will decrease as we get past 7 p.m. into the evening and then into the overnight. Then we also have a risk for strong to severe thunderstorms between the 4 to 10 p.m. time frame, looking at a marginal and slight risk west of Highway 63, between the I-49 and Highway 63 corridor, and then an enhanced and moderate risk along and east of Highway 63. And we'll get into those risks here soon. And then, of course, we've got that red flag warning that was just issued today as our relative humidity is dropped in the 15 to 25% range. That's pretty much going to be all day Friday, but we could see a peak there during the late morning to late afternoon hours as our relative humidities drop and our winds are greatest. So let's start with the severe weather potential. All hazards are possible, but we're mainly concerned with the damaging winds being the greatest threat. The main uncertainty that we have is how far west storms could initiate. So in this green and yellow, where the marginal and slight risk is, that's where our greatest uncertainty is on whether storms will form or not. And I'll get into those two scenarios here soon. But in the enhanced and then into the moderate risk, where Rolla and Salem are, that's where we're looking at the greatest risk for severe thunderstorms. And if these deep thunderstorms do develop, we could see significant severe thunderstorms with large hail greater than 2 inches, damaging winds greater than 75 miles per hour, which I should note is hurricane force winds, and then tornadoes, with some potentially being strong. And that's mainly there in the orange and red, which is east of Highway 63. If storms were to develop along the I-49 corridor moving east, those would have hail up to $0.50, wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour, and then the low potential for a tornado, 2 to 5%. These are the probabilities that we're looking at for each hazard. Hail probability, again, greatest potential is we're east of Highway 63, where you could see some significant hail up to 2 inches. Wind probability is the most widespread, where you see that along I-49 and eastward. You could see wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour or greater. And then the tornado threat is greatest, again, east of Highway 63, including the West Plains, Houston, and Rolla cities, but decreases as you move west, with Springfield being in a 2 to 4% chance, and then Lebanon being in a 5 to 9% chance, with Joplin being out of the probabilities. So I wanted to give you a quick look at the different scenarios that we're talking about for severe thunderstorm potential tomorrow. Here's a bunch of different squares. These are basically just different models that we look at for when we look at the potential for thunderstorms. Going into tomorrow, Friday, as we move into the 3 to 4 p.m. time frame, as you can see with these middle panels, these show thunderstorms showing up along the I-49 corridor between that 3 to 5 p.m. time frame. However, as you look at these bottom panels and top panels, there really isn't anything that shows up there. So, we've got one scenario where we could see thunderstorms fire along the Missouri-Kansas border mid-afternoon, As we move forward in time, though, as we get to around that 5 to 8 p.m. time frame, that's when you start to see these other panels light up with storms along and east of Highway 63, along with those middle panels. So our highest confidence is for that line of storms to really get going east of the Springfield area, but that doesn't mean that we won't see any storms west of the Springfield area. So again, highlighting that slight to marginal risk between I-49 and Highway 65. We could see storms develop that early. It depends on how much moisture we get, but highest confidence then is for definitely the line of storms to move through the Highway 63 corridor and eastward during the evening hours. So let's take a look at the severe hazard timing now. There's going to be a very quick window for these severe thunderstorms, and these graphs may look a bit confusing, so I'm going to break them down for you real quick. The background color on here kind of shows your background total categorical risk. So yellow is a slight risk, 2 of 5. Orange is the enhanced risk, 3 of 5. And then your different colored lines are the probabilities of each hazard. So blue would be wind, green is hail, and red is tornado. So the big thing here looking at this is, Springfield and Branson both have an equal chance of wind and hail, with a lower chance for tornadoes. So the big thing is that there's a quick window here. This, for Springfield-Branson area, this will mainly be between the 3 to 8 p.m. time frame is when that's maximized for between I-49 and Highway 65. As you move east into Highway 63 and east with Rolla and West Plains and Osage Beach, your severe timing ramps up between the 5 and 10 p.m. time frame. The greatest chance for tornadoes looks to definitely be within the Rolla to West Plains corridor, where we do have up to a 10% chance. But even still, then the greatest risk is significant wind speed. So that being said, there's still going to be a high wind watch and wind advisory in effect for much of the area. The high wind watch is west of Highway 65, and the wind advisory is east of Highway 65. And this is for winds that are not associated with the thunderstorms. So with any thunderstorm, we could see gusts up to 75 miles per hour. But outside of that, we could see gusts all day through Friday between 50 to 60 mile per hour, with infrequent gusts greater than 60 miles per hour within that high wind watch. Within the wind advisory, we could see gusts up to 40 to 55 miles per hour. And then your sustained winds are going to be pretty high as well, 30 to 40 mile per hour within the high wind watch, and 25 to 35 miles per hour within the wind advisory. So that could make difficult driving, especially for high-profile vehicles. Tree and power line damage could occur with possible power outages, and of course loose objects around your house and anywhere else could be blown around. This is just a map of the peak wind gusts expected. Again, 55 to 60 miles per hour is the greatest along I-49 corridor, with infrequent gusts greater than 60 miles per hour there. Eastward, we're looking at 45 to 55 mile per hour gusts. And again, for reference, 58 miles per hour is the criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning. So there could be some times where you're experiencing wind gusts that would be considered severe for a thunderstorm, even though there may not be thunderstorms occurring. So this will be a pretty high wind event, and we want you all to exercise caution with that. So again, those high winds are going to create some potentially historic fire weather in our area. We're looking at significant to critically extreme fire danger within a red flag warning that we have issued for pretty much the entire area except for Dent and Salem and Oregon counties out east. This is due to the very high winds and the dry air that will sweep in. So that being said, fire control is going to be extremely difficult. Recent dry weather has already resulted in unusual fire spread and behavior this week, so any burning is strongly discouraged, and please stay alert. This is the SPC fire weather outlook for Friday. In the pink areas is what's labeled as extremely critical, which is the highest level for fire danger, and this is the first time that our area has been issued under an extremely critical threshold. So needless to say, this is a potentially historic event coming up, especially for the I-49 corridor and westward. There is also potential within that brown area, so basically Highway 63 and westward, for some isolated dry thunderstorms. They won't be very dry thunderstorms, but it's basically it gives the potential that lightning could start some of these fires out there. And then again, this is going to be fueled a lot by the relative humidities. It's going to be pretty dry out there along the I-49 corridor. We could see relative humidities drop as low as 15% or lower. That being said, the fire danger this weekend into next week doesn't look to decrease really at all. Sunday, we're looking at very high fire danger for much of the area, as well as Monday, as our wind gusts still ramp up to 15 to 35 miles per hour and our humidities drop to 20 to 35%. And then Tuesday looks to be the next big fire weather day with pockets of significant for much of the area, with wind gusts reaching back up to 30 to 40 miles per hour and humidity in the 25 to 35% range. And then Wednesday, we finally see a little bit of relief. There is still some fire danger there with moderate relative humidities and wind gusts in the 25 to 35 mile per hour range. So that's all for this briefing. Again, potentially a historic event here, especially on the fire weather side, and then the quick line of thunderstorms that's going to move through. So please stay weather aware and stay tuned to our forecast and any warnings that may be issued, and practice your fire weather safety, but also your severe thunderstorm safety, and then also your high wind safety. Could be seeing some power outages and loose objects blowing around out there with frequent gusts between 40 to 55 miles per hour, which you would normally see in a quick thunderstorm, but with them happening all day, that's going to put some strain on infrastructure. So stay safe out there, and bye-bye.